Skinner and Demoulas in Richfield Springs and Turnbull Insurance Service since 1866 present Mohawk Valley Living, exploring the arts, culture, and heritage of our region. A special good morning to Charles and Amanda, watching from camp in Old Forge.
Good morning and welcome to Mohawk Valley Living. Today we are traveling north of Utica to Trenton and Remsen, where history abounds and the buffalo roam.
Take a walk in paradise. Come to the Mohawk Valley. Take a walk in paradise. Come to the Mohawk Valley.
Tomorrow at 3 o'clock, the Landmark Society of Utica will present a free summer walk and talk of the Forest Hill Cemetery. Tour guides will greet you at 3 p.m. at the Forest Hill Cemetery at 2201 Oneida Street in Utica. Special thanks to Turnbull Insurance Service and Mark and Jim Turnbull. Their continued support makes the show possible. We meet this week's artist at her studio and office at Price Design in Whitesboro. Sarah Price works with her father on illustration and graphics for local and national publications and advertising. Whenever she's not working on her computer, she's creating art with it.
Well, I grew up in a family of artists, and just being around it all the time, it was hard not to be interested. My dad and I have a business together called Price Design, and we do graphic design and illustration. And my mom doesn't do art anymore, but we try to get her to still. So for my design work, we do a lot of the publications for Munson Williams, also Hamilton College and Utica College, some other local clients. The book was a friend of mine, and she asked me to do the illustration, and it turned out nice. I'm working on my own that I need to finish up here, so. I like anything that's fantasy based. I'll draw inspiration from something very small and turn it into a whole idea, but anything fantasy. Well, I start with a sketch that I do in pencil, I scan it, and then I render everything in Adobe Illustrator. Each one of my pieces is made up of at least, I would say, 100 different components. Every blade of grass, every flower petal, even if you look at the flowers up close, every little thing is an individual thing that I've drawn. So it takes a long time. I hope that digital art will be more widely accepted. A lot of places wouldn't even accept in art shows. They would only accept, watercolors, acrylic, sculpture. So more and more places are starting to see it as a real art form and don't think that the computer just does it for you.
You can see one of Sarah's pieces at the Regional Juried Exhibition, now on display at the Rome Art and Community Center in Rome. Or view her portfolio online at artbysarahprice.com.
It's the feeling I get when I look around. It lets me know I'm home. I'm making this.
Watch Mohawk Valley Living on Fox WFXV every Sunday at 7:30 a.m. and 11 o'clock p.m., followed by an encore. And now also available on WUTR every Sunday morning at 11:30 a.m.
I wanna live. Yes, I'm making this valley my home.
Here's what's hot on the lot at Skinner and Demoulas. That dump truck you're looking for has arrived. A 2010 Ford F-350 Super Duty with only 7,000 miles. Yours for only $25,500 at Skinner and Demoulas in Richfield Springs. You go the extra mile for your small business and should expect the same from your insurance company. For over 140 years, Turnbull Insurance Service has been committed to local small business. For your commercial coverage, turn to the company ready to go that extra mile. Turn to Turnbull. It's Sunday, which means it's Westmoreland Farmers Market Day, every Sunday at Seymour's Diner, Route 233, Westmoreland. Experience life in the 1800s at the Farmers Museum in Cooperstown. Tour Historic Village and peek inside to see tradespeople at work. Visit the Lippett Farmstead, a living example of a mid-19th century farm, and take a ride on the magical Empire State Carousel. You're invited to celebrate Independence Day on July 4th with the sounds of 1776. Hear the muskets blast and the reading of the Declaration of Independence at 1 p.m. at the Farmers Museum in Cooperstown. Melrose Supermarket is your family hometown market, known for their choice hand-cut meat, fresh baked bread, and famous homemade pastas and salads. This week, save on whole boneless pork loin, cut while you wait, only $2.59 a pound at Melrose Supermarket, Frankfort. Experience the lightweight wicking quality of alpaca with soft alpaca clothing at Paca Gardens. And of course, colorful and comfortable alpaca socks. There's also baby alpaca yarn, some made from local alpacas at Paca Gardens, West Main Street in Little Falls. Look and feel amazing at the graduation, tea, or garden party in a fun, comfortable dress from the Village Crossing. Check out the fabulous summer fashion in Clinton. North Star Orchards is open for the season. The greenhouse is full of potted plants, annuals, and vegetables, and outside you'll find perennials, trees, shrubs, and topsoil. The bakery's open too, with fresh pies, cookies, breads, and muffins at North Star Orchards, Route 233, Westmoreland. Savor the flavor of authentic Southeast Asian cuisine at the Lotus Garden Noodle and Sushi House. The Pooh family welcomes you to lunch or dinner at the Lotus Garden, behind the Stanley Theater on King Street in Utica.
To see what we can see, traveling round the Mohawk Valley. Let's see.
Special thanks to Skinner and Demulus for keeping Mohawk Valley Living on the road. Stop in and say hi to the guys at Skinner and Demulus in Richfield Springs. We're heading north of Utica to the towns of Trenton and Remsen this week. Both towns were once part of Herkimer County, before Oneida County was formed. We stop in Barneveld at the Trenton Community Hall to say hi to our friend, historian Betsy Beal Mack. Since our last visit here, a huge slice of a 201-year-old elm tree was put on display in the entry hall. The great tree once stood on Boone Street and had to be removed in 1978. It took 8 men and a 90-foot train to take down the giant elm. We head back out to Route 12 to Liberty Lane and Rolling Star Manufacturing. Since 1996, this company has been manufacturing custom trailers from the ground up, supplying command centers to the U.S. government, the FBI, county sheriff, and fire departments, as well as mobile food service and portable classrooms. Each trailer is built to order to serve a specific function.
Well, actually it was started with just my brother-in-law and myself, and we each worked part-time elsewhere. And at the height, 3 years ago, we had 25 employees and doing a range of command centers to vehicles that house Humvee gunner training simulators for the military. Our first one went to the 1996 Olympic Games in Atlanta, Georgia, and supplied the uplink from the satellite to communicate for Bell South. They're worldwide. They're in Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, they're Alaska. Anchorage has a command center on a Freightliner, Okinawa, as well as the one we saw for Northland Communications in Utica. The Utica Fire Department has 2 of our vehicles there. Well, it's a small family-owned business, and most of our employees are long-term. They've been here since they were younger kids, some of them, and now they're approaching 40. So it's just been it's been an exciting thing, never boring, because you're always building something different, something new, a new challenge.
Just trying to find my way back home. Just trying to find my way back home. Just trying to find my way back home.
We head about 8 miles north on Route 12 to Remsen and Wild Sky Bison Ranch. Here, a young Utica fireman and farmer is taking over his father's herd of buffalo, raising new calves up every spring.
We bought the farm in 1995, and we've owned it ever since. It's been a family farm since '95, and we got our first animals in 1999. We bought it for the land mainly. We were looking for something new to do with just something out of the ordinary from other people, and we decided to go with the bison. The bison meat itself, it's leaner for you. It's better. It's got higher protein content. It's comparable to a top grade Black Angus. Not a whole lot of difference. The bison, you got to remember, is a wild animal. Beef cattle are domestic, so heavier fences, more feed, a lot more open space for them too.
To learn more about bison or to buy some lean bison steaks, call Gary Tomeno at 315-292-4509. We let the buffalo roam and head just up the road to a curious monument in the middle of a field.
I have traveled up Route 12 at least 1,000 times, have driven by this monument behind me, and have always wondered what it was. Today, I found out. It is the burial place of Prudence Pomeroy Root, who was born around 1790 and is buried here, and alongside of her is her child. As a matter of fact, she died in childbirth. From time to time, you will notice that there are wreaths and flowers here. They're placed there in memory of Prudence.
Did you ever all of license? Everything here is just saying, oh, everything here is insane. Oh, can't you see?
Since it's such nice weather, we head east to Hinckley Reservoir. Part of the water that supplies the reservoir comes from the West Canada Creek. Since there was no constricted gorge in which to build a small dam, a 3,700-foot-length dam had to be built to hold back the water.
Today is a beautiful sunny day, but would you believe that I am in a part of New York State that receives the most precipitation in the state? Behind me is the Hinckley Reservoir, and it serves water to 130,000 people in the Utica area, and this is an amazing bit of trivia. Its capacity is 3.5 billion cubic feet of water. The power plant here is named in honor of Gregory B. Jarvis, who was from Mohawk. He was one of the astronauts who died in the 1986 Space Shuttle Challenger disaster.
There's the fruit of my labor when I get bored. Tell me that it's mightier than the sword. It's sweet and subtle as a song of the wren. Well, if a drunk man's words are a sober man's mind, it's all the same to her unless it's written on that line. Everything fades away without my pen. He who reaps, he writes, he sows. Patiently the pen waits under my nose. I come up with a good idea every now and then.
We travel about 7 miles west to Star Hill Road and the Steuben Memorial State Historic Site. Although Baron von Steuben requested an unmarked grave in his will, in 1804 his remains were transferred here to what is now known as the Sacred Grove.
Behind me is the recreation of the log home of a person whose name is, boy, I'm telling you, parents back then knew how to give their kids short names that were easy to remember. Frederick Wilhelm Ludolf Gerhard August von Steuben. We know him as Baron von Steuben, the drill master of the American Revolution. He volunteered his services to Benjamin Franklin to advise the ill-trained American revolutionaries. He is known as second only to George Washington for his wartime services. And here is something you can add to your trivia book. He was one of the very few people who was on the balcony when George Washington was inaugurated as the first president of the United States. He authored the Blue Book, which today still remains as the basic reference for military training in the United States.
Well, all this history and local trivia has made us hungry, and you can't head up Route 12 without seeing the landmark bright red roof of the Kayuta Drive-In. Jim and Carol Minash started here way back in 1963. Today, their son, Jim Minash Jr., is carrying on the tradition of breakfast cooked just the way you like it, as well as their famous burgers, homemade soups, and fresh roasted turkey.
The Kayuta Drive-In has been here for 50 years. I have been coming here for those entire 50 years. As a matter of fact, I was only 21 when I started.
Well, this is our 50th season in business. Mom and Dad started in 1963, and at the time it was a small diner. Lots of hard work and dedication made it progress to where we are today. I was born with a job. I was born here. My sister and I grew up here, and she went into the engineering field and I went into the restaurant field. And as my education with Paul Smith's, I have the restaurant background. And yes, we efficiently, we try to do everything from scratch as much as possible. And I think it shows in the quality of the food and the repeat business that we have. I'm motivated and I love to work. I don't think that if I hit the lottery, I really think that I would still continue to work as hard as I do. Yeah, it's just, it's a pride thing. I'm happy to do it and glad to be part of it.
The Kayuta Drive-In is open 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and ice cream at the ice cream window. You can also visit them on Facebook.
To see what we can see, traveling round the Mohawk Valley. Let's see what we can see.
Here's what's hot on the lot at Skinner and Demoulas. That dump truck you're looking for has arrived. A 2010 Ford F-350 Super Duty with only 7,000 miles. Yours for only $25,500 at Skinner and Demoulas in Richfield Springs. Make a delicious impression at your wedding, baby shower, or corporate event with delectable delights from Sugar Babe's Cupcakes and Christine's Cookie Shop. Or sweeten up an ordinary day with a visit to their pastry shop at 46 Genesee Street, New Hartford, behind Randall's Pharmacy. View presents the Forge Festival of Arts and Crafts, Thursday, July 4th from 9:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. Over 60 skilled vendors of handcrafted furniture, handwovens, jewelry and pottery, and food, beer, and wine at the Adirondack Bank parking lot in Old Forge. For the most unique shopping experience, visit the Little Falls Antique Center and the shops at 25 West. Over 40 local vendors, all under one roof. Shop local at the Little Falls Antique Center and the shops at 25 West. Always worth the drive at Canal Place in Little Falls. Brenda's Natural Foods is the natural choice for healthy local products, gluten-free and gourmet foods, personal care and natural cleaning products. Brenda's Natural Foods, West Dominic Street in Rome. Shop Shelter for handmade Adirondack furniture designed by craftsman Jim Kiefer. He works with you to create custom pieces to your specifications, from dining room and coffee tables to bookcases, beds, and bunks. Call or visit Shelter on Main Street in Old Forge. Why do contractors and do-it-yourselfers shop Lincoln Davies? It's the superior grade lumber, the value for the money, the 140 years and 6 generations of customer service. Since 1872, Lincoln Davies has delivered superior lumber, value, and service, and they're not about to change things now. Celebrating 140 years at the same location, just 10 minutes south of New Hartford on Summit Road between routes 12 and 8. Lincoln Davies, building them like they used to. Call Yannick Excavating for all your residential and commercial projects, from new construction and land clearing to septic systems, driveways, basements, ponds, and topsoil. Visit yannickexcavating.com. Expecting company? Just call Deansboro Superette. They prepare delicious Middle Eastern platters for any number of guests. Call 841-4377. The Weekly Adirondack, newspaper of the Old Forge Inlet area, presents Adirondack Journal.
Good morning, I'm Gary Van Riper. Welcome to Adirondack Journal. A lot of people have really liked the hikes that we've been going on the last few weeks, and we want to take you on another one. Today we're at the Rondacks Trailhead for Bald Mountain. It's located just off Route 28 between Old Forge and Eagle Bay, and we took the Rondacks Road to get up here. I checked the regional map, and unlike Bald Mountain, which is kind of a steep climb, this hike into the pond should be quite level. You remember in the trail description that it calls the trail level? Understand this is a level trail in the Adirondacks.
Just trying to find my way.
It took us about 15 minutes to get to Fly Pond, and if we continued on the Blue Trail, we would have come to Carey Mountain Pond, and according to the map, it looks like the old bed of the Racket Lake Railway, which is really cool because the railway actually went from New York City all the way to a hotel at Racket Lake many years ago. If you want to make a longer hike out of this, what hikers call mission creep, you can actually continue on that Blue Trail, and you go all the way to Bub and Sis Lake, and then there's a break there, and you could actually go all the way to Moss Lake. It might seem like overkill to carry a map along with you on a hike like this, just a short hike, but really it's not. I mean, it's safe, but also kids love maps. And when you can stop and show them where they are, and we found the railway bed by looking at the map. Actually, Rondack's Road is on the other side of this pond. You see a road off in the distance and you can orient yourself. It's just a lot of fun. So as you're getting ready for your next hike here in the Adirondacks, make sure that you pack your snacks and some water, maybe a little first aid kit, and don't forget a map, and add another page to your own Adirondack Journal.
This week, we traveled to the town of Trenton to visit Barneveld and Trenton Falls. The first settlement in the town was established by Garrett Boone, who came from Holland in 1793. The village became known as Olden Barneveld for the Dutch hero who fought for Dutch independence. We pick up a tour guide and take a walking tour of this historic village.
I'm standing in front of the Tanner McIntosh house here on Boone Street. Now, the interesting thing about this house, the rafters are made from old sugar maple troughs. The Dutch who settled here were vehemently opposed to slavery, and they thought that by taking maple products and making maple sugar that they could cut into the profits in the trade down south that relied on slaves. What they didn't realize was that the maple season here was only a couple of weeks long, so they ended up with all kinds of, probably hundreds of troughs that were used to make maple syrup. Being very resourceful, they took the troughs and made them part of the construction of the homes all throughout this village. They became rafters. A great way to spend an afternoon in the autumn is to take a walking tour here in Barneveld. You can pick up one of these tours at the town hall, town offices. An interesting thing that I discovered is the Boone House that I'm standing in front of right now. It was originally across the street on the site of Mappa Hall. Well, they were moving it across to where it is now, but it got stuck in the mud in the road, so that they left it there for a couple of days. Then when it came time to place it where it is now, it was too much work to turn it around. So when you come here, you'll notice that the front of the house is the back, and the back of the house is the front, right? I'm standing in front of the Vanderkemp house on Vanderkemp Avenue. Mr. Vanderkemp came here from Holland, and at the time was considered to be one of the most learned people in the United States. He was credited with originating the plans for the Erie Canal, but I think of far more interest, especially now at Halloween, is the fact that inside this house, all of the upper panels were in the shape of a cross, the reason being to scare away the witches.
I realize it's all a dream. I'm gonna leave this place, yeah. Everybody's sorry for something, some are sorry for more. I guess I fall somewhere in the middle.
When you insure your boat or watercraft this season, don't send your hard-earned money sailing. Keep your money here, working in your community. Insure with Turnbull Insurance. You'll get great, reliable, and affordable coverage for your boat. Turn to a company anchored in the Mohawk Valley. Turn to Turnbull. You keep saying you're going to do something about your back and joint pain. Call Dr. Michael Tucherone, one of the area's only K-laser therapy chiropractors, the most advanced, non-invasive treatment of acute and chronic pain. Call 853-6225 and embark on your wellness journey today.
Hi, Dr. Tom. Bringing your cat to the Paris Hill Cat Hospital on Sundays is a part of Mohawk Valley living. Come inside and see why.
Paris Hill Cat Hospital, this is Lindsay. How can I help you? Hello, Mrs. Cole. Your cat is losing weight and you need an appointment? And you're only available on weekends. Sure, I have an available appointment with Dr. Karen Sunday at 2 p.m. Does that fit into your schedule? Okay.
We're open 7 days a week because we know that your cat can become ill anytime. The Paris Hill Cat Hospital, quality care for your cats and kittens.
Experience the Fenimore Art Museum, overlooking beautiful Otsego Lake. Spend the day exploring the permanent collection of American Indian art and one of the nation's largest collections of American folk art. Current exhibitions this summer include The Wyeths, A Family Legacy, including works by N.C. Wyeth, Andrew Wyeth, James, Carolyn, Henriette, and her husband Peter, and Native Roots, the 9th Contemporary Iroquois Art Biennial at the Fenimore Art Museum in Cooperstown. That special art, photograph, or memorabilia deserves a special frame. Oscars creates one-of-a-kind gold and silver leaf mirrors and frames. Oscars Picture Framing, 12 Kellogg Road, New Hartford. Have a tropical adventure and walk among hundreds of free-flying butterflies, tropical birds, plants, lizards, and frogs at the Pop Butterfly Conservatory. It's an unforgettable experience for all ages. Open 7 days a week on Route 7 in Oneonta. When you shop Meelan's Market, you'll be the grill master. That's because every hot dog, beef patty, and sausage is made by Bob Meelan himself. Find everything for your next cookout, from store-made meats to fresh salads and tabbouleh, at Meelan's Market at the Four Corners in Clark Mills. Tom's Natural Foods is your connection to local farms for natural and organic fruits and vegetables, meats, eggs, cheeses, and other milk products. At Tom's Natural Foods in Clinton, naturally.
I can't stand it when you're not around. I don't know quite what to do with myself. So if you have to leave me tonight, now, baby.
For those of you that need to know this information, the moon right now is called a strawberry moon. And that has a lot to do with the June period when the moon is at a certain phase and strawberries are in season. This year you're going to really find some really good strawberries with all the rain we've had. Cool nights have kept the rotting away, so you don't see a lot of decay in the strawberries. They're going to be nice and firm. It's a good time to be picking strawberries at all the local farms, including Tasselberry. When strawberries are so plentiful and this big, it's hard not to keep picking and pick up more strawberries. A good tip to keep them and hold them longer for you is, if you want to eat them fresh, just keep them in the refrigerator, because they really don't tabletop very well. If you can remember, last year was a poor apple year and we didn't have many apples because of the freeze. So what it does is puts all the apples on this year. They tend to go biannual. So with all the blossoms this year and all the little apples you see on the trees, don't be alarmed, because you're going to look out there about now and they call it the June drop. You're going to see an excessive amount of apples on the ground. Typically, what happens is the weaker apples naturally just fall off the stem. The natural acids eat the stem and they fall on the ground. So when you see all those apples on the ground, don't be over excited about it, because it'll mean the apples that are on the tree are going to be bigger.
It's hard to believe that it's been 8 years and that we have never in that time visited the Baron von Steuben Memorial. We finally did. It is called the Sacred Grove, and I now know why. We hope that you've enjoyed today's show and that you will tune in again next week, and that between now and then you will enjoy Mohawk Valley living.